Okay, so I'll put the images together on your screen real quick. I put the big social picture together. I always like to consider myself, I don't know, having angel vision, where most of y'all are kind of like the person who is not just playing the video game. You've gotten so into the video game, you think you one of the characters in the actual Matrix or the fake world or whatever, right? So this white woman, this ugly white woman called a black child the N-word. Now, I was looking at the response of the guy because I think it's confirmed that some 8-year-old, 10-year-old black kid reached in her purse. So that's what she was responding to. And to me, it's a social positioning conversation because, black folks say this all the time. And I don't want to repeat what a lot of racist white people say. But why does it mean so much if they say it? And basically, if you look at her hair, and look at the fake ass blonde wig that your own women hair, where you don't see no Ukrainian woman or any type of white woman with a damn afro wig unless she's at a costume party. So basically, what the white people are saying, yes, I turned around and spit on you, but other dogs lick you in the face all the time. Why you make such a big deal about my spit? It's because basically you are the little dog that's being drugged behind. Now, at any given time, you can be like the dog who sits down and just sits very stiff as I'm trying to pull you, okay? But if you got a fake ass blonde wig in your head, you have such a response to me saying something toward you that you say to yourself at all time because of social positioning. Basically, the queen just spit on you and validated that you were a peasant. Now, I think this might have been a black boy who reached into her diaper bag because I'm thinking if he's older, you wouldn't be playing with a newborn baby. So they didn't know each other. Yeah, I am hitting the 420, okay? But if she got a newborn baby, they wouldn't know each other. So yeah, he did that, all right? So what ends up happening is that I deal with a lot of situations and I see stuff like this all the time. And trust me, the situation, the person that's hollering, if I'm at the mall and having to deal with a situation doing security, the person who's hollering, that is not always the person who's really the victim. That's the person who's the loudest. So it tends to be kind of like the police car. If a police car is zooming down the street, everybody sees that. Hey, do you see that Ferrari over there sitting next to the fire hydrant? You probably didn't. You seen the police car. You know, but a lot of the times people know who they can mess with. I found it very interesting when I seen a situation a few days ago where a woman, she's not a liberal and she's not a protester. She was passing by a anti-Arab protest in New York and she was literally lampooned. There were men that put their buttocks in her face. They did every which assaulting thing. There were even reports of men yelling at her that they wanted to grape her or that she deserved to be tied up in a basement and beaten and graped. And they were reaching in their pants and rubbing her. It was as close as they could do to violating her in public. And the only thing you had was a tepid response from this single New York police officer who eventually came in and kind of escorted her. And to show you who has the power, they waited until he physically got next to her. And then it was then that they pushed her. And everywhere you read in the news media, you've got to be a very smart person nowadays and know how to look at stuff very closely and very critically. It says woman attacked by mob in New York. No, 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 no. White woman attacked by J-ish mob in New York as a white police officer stands there and does nothing. And when the opposite happens, if you get these pro-Palestinian protesters, and remember, she wasn't even a protester, but if you get these pro-Palestinian protesters who get a bit rowdy, they're going to get beat down, arrested, and funding is going to be threatened. Okay. But this woman was assaulted and, nothing happened. And when you look at the news media articles, they take away, they don't put certain specifics in there so you'll know who's who. They say woman attack. They should say innocent woman innocent bystander female who wasn't even bystanding. She's pedaling by, she's walking by. And people thought that she was a protester because, I don't know, she had on a scarf, some green jade colored scarf. It was just enough to look like something that may have been from Palestine, because the Palestine flag is green. And she winds up with all these people around her violating her. Like I said, they did the closest thing to her to grape her in public. It was bad. And then they pushed her in front of the police and no response. So you move on to the next situation, right? And a couple years ago, a Jewish sheriff busted up a big white supremacist ring down in Florida. And them dudes was crying and whining. And don't mistake this guy's little flimsy appearance for being a beta male. I mean, he was screaming and yelling at them white boys. Get your ass in the SWAT team van. And, they was crying all over the place and boo-hoo-hooing. I mean, the buttercupping was at a magnitude of volcano explosion. I mean, it was horrible, and they ain't done nothing about it. And that Jewish sheriff with his Jewish community is sitting down there in Florida, and they sitting big. let's just keep it 800 million in Hollywood, Florida. They keeping it rolling down there. Don't get me to talking. But there's people who know they can who they know who they can fool with. And when it comes to black people, I'm going to keep it real with you. You're the last kid in the schoolyard who this big bully can fool with. Now, I don't know the specifics of everything that went on with this woman and this kid. But it sounds like to me this kid reached in her bag, and I know that I respond to situations like that all the time. And the people that you see who are the loudest out there are not necessarily the victims. They just the loudest. Okay. But if a person accepts the title white, black is their total opposite. The crazy thing is you got to look at the world. America could be in a war with the CCP. We done did all type of dumb stuff where, like, for example, China is now buying their oil from Canada. We thought they would come crawling back to us whenever we put this big tariff on oil and all that. They said, fuck you. And not only are you possibly at war with us, but we could get our oil from your ally, supposed to be ally. But yeah, man, their definition, they could be at war with China. They could have Russia with 10 million nuclear arms aimed at the United States. And you could just have North Korea sitting right across the border from U.S. troops, always saber rattling. But the black citizen that makes up 21% of the Army, black men, 9% of the U.S. Army, black women, it is the black citizen who is the perpetual person who they linger around, desperately attempting to offend and to harm. See, that's why a lot of black people support Carmelo Anthony, because they believe that it's a stand against the last people who seek out you specifically above all of the other demographics to define themselves. If they accept the title of white, then black is perpetually always the opposite of white. So they have to, I'm from Mississippi, they always have to be above the black. It doesn't matter who else. They may complain about Hispanics, but Hispanics will flood an area, and you will just notice an eerie quietness from the white people. Like, where's this heat? Where's this smoke? Like, y'all do it online all the time, but when they get here, they just walk around and y'all say nothing. But it's perpetually the biggest thing pertaining to some social issue or conflict between a black person that absolutely defines them, and they absolutely have to come out on top regardless of the situation. But one thing that I'll tell you is that often your response is due to the fact that you feel yourself to be cast so socially low. Remember, she will always continue to grow her hair, and regardless of what she do and how she feel, many of you will always continue to try to be her. And that gives her the edge at all times. And now she's rich because so many people didn't spread her information out there. And now they done got her a GoFundMe, a fund and go, a give and go. And she got all type of money now because of your response. A lot of the times, I ain't gonna say you got to let shit slide, but you got to just kind of look at it and assess what really happened before you have an extreme response, especially for something that happens among you all the time. But anyways, thanks for listening. I'm out.